Coming up, a leader of the only federally recognized tribe in Alabama is being honored by the state. An expert tells us about the state of broadband access in Indian country. Plus, we learn about an effort to build a skin boat to heal a community. I'm Aaliyah Chavez. Join us for those interviews, plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Amarawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. We start in Washington, D.C., where today the U.S. Supreme Court is slated to hear oral arguments in a case involving federal Indian law. The Navajo Nation is arguing that it does not have enough water and says the federal government is to blame. Roughly a third of Navajo people living on their nation's homelands don't have running water. Supplying more water to Navajo likely means it will have to come from the lower Colorado River. States who use the lower Colorado River, like Arizona, California, and Nevada, argue it will mean less water for their cities, agriculture, and businesses. The High Court's decision is set to have critical consequences for how water is shared in the West. Derek Beetso, who is the Director of Indian Gaming and Self-Governance at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law, spoke to ICT.
I think everybody is looking to this case from the Navajo Nation with good thoughts and good intentions and hoping that there's a good result. I think what's really important is that people really understand the dire situation that Americans are living in. You know, these are Americans within the Navajo reservation, and they have a really different water circumstance than people off the reservation. And I think if people can understand what that situation is, maybe perhaps there's a possibility for a better understanding of our future as indigenous people here.
The Navajo Nation is also arguing that two treaties from 1849 and another from 1868 guaranteed enough water to sustain their lands. Even if the justices side with the Navajo Nation, the tribe would not get water immediately. The case would be returned to the U.S. District Court in Arizona. That means water could still be years, if not decades, away. What's that sound? Oh, it must be the Denver March Powwow. It is the annual kickoff of the powwow season and a major celebration of Native culture. Our Stuart Huntington was there and has this report.
You know where I'm at right now? I'm at the best powwow in the country, okay? I'm so excited. I don't know what to do with myself.
The 47th running of the Denver March Powwow filled up the city's Coliseum over the weekend, marking a rebound from years in the shadow of COVID.
I guess gratifying to see all of the people come back. I know that we have lost a lot of loved ones and different people during the pandemic, and it was a very difficult situation to get through. But Indian people are very resilient, and we've survived a lot of other things in life, and I think this is just expressing our joy and gratitude for gathering together again to showcase what Indian country is about.
The event boasted nearly 200 vendors, including Native American flute maker Lavore Thomas from Navajo country. The 37 drum groups set the pace for more than 1,000 dancers.
Why I like it is because I get to express myself, and it's something that I'm close to, and I feel a connection like with my ancestors, just doing it for a very long time.
Denver March is one of the kickoff powwows for all of Indian country, and it's just a big honor to be here, and there's so many emotions that go into it.
One of which was excitement.
I'm here at the best powwow, and it's the best powwow because we have more drums, we have more dancers than any other ones than in the entire country. The vendors out here are fantastic. The food, you can smell it in the air right now. People are excited. People are making money. This is a post-COVID powwow. We got fry bread back. Isn't that exciting? We got fry bread back. Hey, thank goodness. I know.
And with the fry bread, an underlying message.
Oh, that we're still alive. We're still here. It means a whole lot to us that we've survived a huge and a pandemic that was very devastating, but now we're back. We've always been here. We'll be here.
We are the original inhabitants of this land. And, you know, that speaks for itself. You know, everybody else is just tourists coming in.
In Denver, Colorado, Stuart Huntington, ICT News.
An Indigenous company wants an explanation and is looking at possible legal action over what some guests took home with them after this year's Academy Awards. The 2023 gift bags at the Oscars contained items valued at $125,000. Among those items were novelty certificates of ownership for parcels of land in the Australian outback. The so-called conservation gift packs were provided by the company Pieces of Australia. Included was a digital membership book containing, quote, a perspective from the Indigenous Australians and highlights land management practices, spiritual connections, and teachings. That's under fire, however, because the Indigenous Carbon Industry Network's name and images were used in the membership book. ICIN is a charitable land management company owned by 23 Indigenous organizations across Australia. The company posted statements on its website and social media denying any association with Pieces of Australia and claims to have sought legal advice in the matter. The 1 square meter parcels of land included in the gift packs are home to a number of Aboriginal groups. It is uncertain if they have any arrangements with Pieces of Australia. The ICIN images and references in question have now been removed from the membership book. In Brazil, federal authorities are beginning to target the resources of illegal miners within indigenous territories. Last week, agents at one site in the Amazon rainforest found a Starlink internet unit. The devices, which are lightweight and portable, are becoming an increasingly familiar find for authorities at the sites. Newly elected President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is seeking to crack down on environmental violations like illegal mining in Yanomami land. Lawbreakers have brought disease and caused widespread famine to the country's largest native territory, according to one environmental agency. Many federal agencies are currently working to block Starlink's signal in illegal mining areas, calling it crucial to stop the activity. And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. Having access to the internet means much more than being able to watch a YouTube video or logging onto a social media network. It means you have access to online education, virtual health appointments, and much, much more. Tribal leaders have long argued that Native communities are being left out of the conversation when it comes to broadband. Tribal Ready is trying to change that. It is a Native-owned broadband consulting company. Joe Valandra is CEO of Tribal Ready and joins us now in the studio. Welcome to the ICT Newscast, Joe.
Thank you for having me.
So start us off and tell us, one, why you're in Phoenix today.
I'm in Phoenix to attend the National Tribal Telecommunications Association meeting that's being held at Wild Horse Pass.
And for our viewers who are hearing about Tribal Ready for the first time, tell them what it is and what kinds of services.
I'm happy to do that. We're a relatively new company, relative in that we just started the company in January, but everybody that's part of the company has been working in Indian country or for Indian country for years. I've been working in Indian country my whole life, business-wise, so over 40 years. We're a public benefits corporation. Our mission is to support tribal sovereignty. That's our key mission. And being a public benefits corporation allows us to weigh equally the societal goals that we have, along with any profit motive that we have. We think that's in keeping with our mission, with our values as Native people, so we're happy to do that. We're consulting and we're helping design networks. Our focus right now is making sure that all the tribes get as much of the federal funding as possible that's available now, and we're embarked on a data gathering endeavor that I'd be happy to talk more about if you'd like. So
I would actually. Tell us about the BEAD program. Yes,
well, the BEAD program, I won't try to define it for you, is the largest pot of money coming out of the federal government right now, $42.5 billion. And of that larger pot of money, there was about $3 billion set aside for tribes. We view that as just a floor. That's a starting point. The needs of Indian country are so much greater than $3 billion. And we're advocating the tribes need to have equal and just access to the $42.5 billion that's going to be allocated to the states. It's a long story, but long story made short, the maps that NTAI is using to allocate those funds to the states misrepresent the tribes, just to cut to the chase. And we want those maps to be equitable. We want the allocations from NTAI to reflect the tribes that are in each state, and then have the tribes obtain equal, justifiable allocations from the states to help build out the broadband network. So the $3 billion is a floor. Whatever comes from BEAD is actually going to help complete or nearly complete the broadband networks that tribes desperately need.
You mentioned maps being one issue, but if we're talking about other issues generally that tribes face in terms of trying to get broadband access to their communities, what other issues would you highlight?
Oh my goodness, I think many incumbent providers, that is the people that are providing services now, have effectively ignored their tribal customers for years. There've been funding that's been interjected into the networks for years that tribes have seen no discernible value from. Where I'm from Rosebud, South Dakota, most people still have dial-up speeds, which means they're severely limited in what they can do. As you highlighted in the intro, to have a virtual doctor's appointment with dial-up speeds is impossible. During the pandemic, to attend education classes with dial-up speeds is impossible. And the list goes on. So I think, our goal to make sure that tribes get as much of the funding as is justified and that equity would dictate will help not only bridge the digital divide, which you hear all the time, but will have the practical implications of allowing tribes to realize their economic future, as well as healthcare, education, and all the other benefits that come with that.
I'm so glad that you brought up the future, because I think so often we hear the disparities in terms of broadband access in tribal communities. But if we were looking 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, where do you hope that we will be in terms of this issue being solved in Indian country?
Well, I hope it will be mostly solved. I'm not optimistic enough to say that it will be completely solved. But I think it's a question of the future of tribes taking control of their resources, one of the resources being broadband, spectrum, whatever other things, and finding a unified solution so that the broadband, power distribution, water, sewer, other public utilities come together and are managed together by the tribes, and therefore giving tribes control of that and control of their future. That's where I'd like to see things be in 10 years, if not sooner.
And for tribal leaders listening to this interview, very quickly here, tell us where they can potentially reach out to Tribal Ready if consultation is something they need.
Sure. You can find us at www.tribalready.com, or that's probably the best place to reach us, and we'll certainly get right back to you. We're anxious to meet every tribe in the country. We have representatives in Alaska and all across the lower 48, and so we're happy to meet and discuss solutions.
Well, Joe Valandra from Tribal Ready, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Nearly 2 centuries ago, Russian explorers invaded the Aleutian Islands, which are the homelands of the Unangax people. This resulted in forced relocation, enslavement, and destruction of every single open skin boat used by the people. A maker school in Ferndale, California is now building a large open skin boat alongside descendants of enslaved Unangax people, local Wyandotte and Wailaki people. Joining us virtually is Kanesia McGlashan-Price to share more on this project. Hi, Kanesia.
Kagasakun for having me.
Tell us about your role in this project through the Make Access Apprenticeship.
I have been an apprentice for the Nicola build for the last 5 weeks. And so I have traveled to Ferndale, California to meet boat maker Mark Daniels and work with a crew of about 5 people to work on this open skin boat.
I'd love to hear in your own words why this build is so significant.
This build feels really significant because the Nicola boats were destroyed intentionally more than 2 centuries ago, and there were only a handful of drawings left. And based on those drawings, boat builder Mark Daniels has been able to start reawakening these traditions. So the Unangax people are water people from the Aleutian Islands. And so being able to make these boats and eventually start getting our people back on the water feels really significant.
And what is the process actually like to make these boats?
Well, as someone who has never been a woodworker before, every morning is kind of just following Mark's lead. All of our wood has been sourced from mills that have collected wood from driftwood. So a lot of our lumber came from Seward, Alaska. And so we are trying to find wood that fits and has a purpose in the boat. So we have Sitka spruce from Seward because it's stringy and powerful. And then we found redwood from Humboldt County that is a great piece for the bow of our boat because it's really strong. So each build starts by looking for driftwood, which seems also significant as well, because the Unangax people are from a treeless area and they collected their wood on the water.
You mentioned that historically these boats had been destroyed. How did you research and figure out how to bring this kind of craftsmanship back?
The woodworker Mark Daniels, he's been working with the Unangax people for the last 30 years. And he studied how to make our sea kayaks. And our sea kayaks were stolen and taken to museums across the world. And so it was easy to figure out how to recreate the Ikia, the sea kayak, because of that. The Nicola, the open skin boat, which holds roughly 20 people, was a little bit harder to figure out how to build because you couldn't just take these 30-foot boats and take them to a museum. So all of the research that was done was pulled from 4 sketches that I know of.
Wow, what a spectacular feat there. I want to talk about the California Native Americans who you're working with in reviving this practice.
So the Unangax people, 2 centuries ago, were taken for the sea otter hunt. And so as the Russian explorers were moving across Unangax, which is present-day the Aleutian Islands, they were taken to their southernmost fort, Matini, also known as Fort Ross today. And so Unangax descendants were left in Matini and never brought home. So part of this build is to honor and pay homage to our Unangax ancestors that never made it home, But through this build, we've also been able to connect with local tribes such as the Wiyot and Wailaki folks in the area, which has felt really special because they're also working on revitalizing their traditional boats as well.
Well, Kanesia, we'll have to invite you back again for more updates. Thank you so much for joining us.
Kakasakun, thank you.
The Poarch Band of Creek Indians is the only federally recognized tribe in the state of Alabama. Stephanie Bryan is its chairwoman and chief executive officer. She was recently honored by Business Alabama as its first ever CEO of the year for her work leading a variety of businesses across the state. You may remember a story from last week when a media company owned by the tribe secured a $217 million contract from NASA. We're joined now virtually with Chairwoman Bryan. Hello to you and congratulations.
Miss Jay, and thank you for hosting me for this segment today, Aaliyah.
Let's just jump right in here. Give us an overview of your tribal nation and where it's located.
So we are located in Atmore, Alabama, and I have lived in this community my entire life, and just watching our community and the landscape change for a lot of people and improving the quality of lives for so many people is so humbling that I have been able to be a part of watching the community grow from poverty to prosperity, but we're still humble people. As the first Americans, and we've faced many challenges, but we've overcome those challenges here in Poarch, Alabama, very rural area. We have trouble connecting sometimes, so I'm just praying that we can get through this segment without any interruptions.
You know, what strikes me about your tribal nation is that you're both the chairwoman and the CEO. And for a lot of tribes, it really is like running a business. You're running a nation. But tell us about how you use both of those roles to make sure that your citizens have everything that they need.
So being the chair and CEO and being the first female chair and CEO for the Poarch Band of Creek Indians, of course, breaking through that glass ceiling and just navigating through some tough times for the tribe. I was first elected in 2006 as the vice chair by a flip of a coin. That was my first year even serving. And at that time, the Poarch Band of Creek Indians were not well known in the state of Alabama. We conducted a polling, I think, in 2008, and 13% Alabamians knew who the Poarch Creek Indians were, and 7% was unfavorable. And then today, for so many people to know about the Poarch Band of Creek Indians and to receive an honor as the CEO of the year in the state of Alabama is very humbling for me because we started telling our own story. And a lot of times in Indian country, dealing with states, they're not so certain of what sovereignty is. It's about educating those leaders and building a network and letting people know what we contribute. And when I was first elected and as the chair and CEO, I didn't want gaming to be the total face of the tribe. So we began diversifying our portfolio to create other economic development throughout the state and the United States. And so being raised in the Poarch community as a little girl, I remember a time when the tribe, we only had 3 employees. And my home place, you can throw a rock to our powwow grounds. So the culture and who we are as Creek Indians is instilled in me. But to grow and to build a network and educate people about the Poarch Band of Creek Indians in the state of Alabama with the passion that I have and the motivation that I have to improve the quality of lives for so many people, not just our tribal members, but our employees as well. They're part of our Poarch Creek family. And so it's had its challenges, but the growth that we have experienced is so humbling, but yet we still will never forget where we come from. So we do not lose sight of where we're going as a sovereign nation. And I've been honored to serve on Secretary Deb Haaland's first ever STAC committee with Department of Interior, as well as building relationships throughout the state. When I was first elected as the chair and CEO in 2014, that was a goal for me, is to build relationships. Life is about relationships and networking and getting to know people. And when they see the passion and the drive that I have to improve the quality of life for so many, people truly respect who we are here as the only federally recognized tribe in the state of Alabama. I graduated with Jody Singer, who is one of the top people within NASA. So we graduated Leadership Alabama together. And now we have the contract for $217 million to handle their production. So that's what life and relationships can do, but it does require a lot of sacrifices as the chair and CEO to navigate, especially the past 3 years, navigating through those turbulent times, as well as growing our 8A contracting services. Even through the pandemic, we grew our federal contracting services, which is our holding company is Ichki, which is mother. It means mother in the Creek language. So that is our mother holding company for our federal services and contracting group.
Well, Chairwoman Bryan, I had 17 other questions. We'll have to visit another time, but we've run out of time today. Thank you so much.
No doubt.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.